can't even tell you the amount of young minority women who are CEOs of companies who've been mistaken for being the women who are the administrators. So often they walk in board meetings and it's like, oh, the coffee and tea is over there. I feel quite disheartened when I see the overall state of diversity in general when it comes to major tech companies, and also among my cohort of entrepreneurs who lead small startups. I think the numbers are not on our side.
Especially companies in the Bay Area, when they think about being disruptors and innovators, I don't understand how you can be that and claim to be that if you don't have a diverse workforce. How can you build products that can change the world if you don't have experiences from the world's community? How can you have the experiences and the thoughts that are representative of a broader community in which you're trying to serve or sell your product to?
While there is a wealth of research that gives us really good insight into what actually works to move the needle with respect to diversity and inclusion, many organizations try things that are either not leveraging that research or are totally inconsistent with that research. So, they might say, well, we'll have a sensitivity training and that'll really change people's minds. Turns out that's been studied, and not only does sensitivity training tend not to change people's minds, it can often backfire.
When companies say that, we value diversity, but there is this lack of a pipeline and we can't find these candidates, to me, that's just laziness. We exist, we're here. I think when they say that, what they're really saying is that our employees, when they refer friends and colleagues to join the organization, they tend to look like the people that are doing the referrals.
We have to strengthen the pipeline, and strengthening of pipeline means that we have to have, once they come on board and once they start working in these companies, they need to have a way to go up. And oftentimes that's a stagnation that I hear among my minority and poor friends who are in tech companies. A lot of them tell me that there's no way to go up. They get in and their mid-level manager, who is white, who is so different than them, is not willing to chance and to give them an opportunity.
In general, one of my frustrations with a lot of the ways that organizations operate is that they often fail to align accountability measures to the things that they say they care about. That's one of the big things that we push our clients to do. Articulate what it is that you care about, and then set up incentive structures, accountability structures to align with that. Because if you are telling your hiring managers, we need you to hire quickly, but then you're saying in the other breath, but we also, care about diversity, you're kind of sending mixed messages, because we know that if you want to identify and bring in more people from underrepresented backgrounds, you'll often have to slow down a bit. When people are from backgrounds that are underrepresented, it often takes more time, effort, and energy to find those candidates.
I think now more than ever, it's incredibly important to have these conversations about diversity and the value of it, especially in today's world where all the political turmoil is occurring, and it's incredibly necessary because, as we saw with this election, people are talking past each other, and there's so many differing thoughts and opinions, and somehow there isn't a bridge that connects the opinions. And so when you think about diversity, again, there's a whole community that understands the value of diversity, and there seems to be a community that doesn't.
I think we really have a rare opportunity here, that if we seize and we set the example that this is not the exception but the norm, I think other companies and perhaps even government and nonprofit institutions will follow suit. Because when I was working at the United Nations in Thailand and in Burma, I remember we looked to Silicon Valley for direction. We looked in this area for purpose. And I think that it could set the tone.
All right, folks, welcome to segment 2 of The Marketplace and JumpStart here live on WX 970 AM, also broadcast live online and rebroadcast on Tempo Network Television. My name is Anthony Weeks, and I'm executive producer and host, along with my colleague, Michael Gerard, who is a co-host and contributor to the program. And our special guest today and contributor is Sydney Paul. She is the business intelligence and market manager for the University of the Virgin Islands Research and Technology Park. Now, the park itself is part of a historically Black college. That open video we played was important because it really speaks to the existence and the work of UVI. I want to say UVI, University of Virgin Islands Research and Technology Park, because their mandate, their mission, obviously, is to be a driver of economic development. But I think they have a special mission as well, because they represent a community that is predominantly minority, that they have an important work to do in terms of helping to literally help diversify the technology space. And so when we look at whether businesses or the economy or public policy, what are those and what that looks like? Do they foster the environment? And so we're going to have that discussion on the program today with our special guest and contributor to the program. Sydney, welcome to the program.
Hi, Anthony. Hi, Michael. Good to see you guys. Really happy to be a part of this discussion. That was a really insightful and timely video that you just played.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's timely for a number of reasons, but I think there's a window that needs to be seized, because right now we are seeing an exodus from Silicon Valley, right? So Silicon Valley is that center of the universe for technology, but it has become its success has become its worst nightmare, if you will. And so the cost of doing business, the talent, quality of life issues, it's now a challenge and problematic. And so companies now are literally, when they get their first round of funding, whether round A, B, C, and you're trying to do business in a place like Silicon Valley, what should give you a runway of 6 months, because it's so expensive, only gives you 3 months. And so a lot of companies are now looking to strategically look at where they can spread out their operation in different jurisdictions around the world. And what better place than the island of U.S. Virgin Islands, both St. Croix and St. Thomas, of course, in St. John's. What better environment to be able to say, we are in a position, we have incubator, we're in the business of creating knowledge-based workforce and startups, et cetera, and provide the incentive for you to do that. And so I just think that there's an opportunity that's there that needs to be taken advantage of. Wouldn't you say that, Michael?
No, I definitely agree. Sydney, it's great seeing you. It's been a while. I definitely agree with everything you're saying, Anthony. I think we've seen that through the evolution of the COVID pandemic, and we've seen how that's affected Silicon Valley especially. And I think that speaks a lot. And we talk about technology a lot on this show, and I think it transcends a lot of distance. It transcends states or where you may be located. So the question now is, like you said, we're open for business. We have the infrastructure, we have the systems and policies in place. So how can we recruit? How can we attract businesses to do business, locally or here across the world? So I'm happy that Sydney is here to kind of bring some light into that.
Yeah, and Sydney, you both went to Taiwan on separate delegation trips, right? So you were together. So I've had the privilege of traveling halfway around the world, right, with both of you. But in particular, and you can ask Sydney. She's such a trooper, right? I'm just, this squirmy guy, didn't want to try anything exotic. She's so adventurous, and she's always game. And you couldn't ask for a better person to be able to be part of that institution. Sydney, help us. Let's do 101. Help us give us an understanding of the University of the Virgin Islands and your unit within that Virgin Islands and why it exists.
Sure. So I want to make a clarification that there is the university, which is a research institution, an HBCU, Historically Black College and University research institution that the Research and Technology Park is affiliated with. So we support a lot of the work that the university does through the clients that we bring in, who provide financial resources to particular programs or initiatives within the university. But the RT Park, which I'll call the RT Park from now on, is an economic development organization. So just like the local economic development authority here in the Virgin Islands, you see them all over the states and counties, cities, towns. We do the work to bring to one, attract, retain, or expand businesses in the territory to promote economic and community development. However, the difference between what we do here at the RT Park and the Virgin Islands Economic Development Authority is that the RT Park specifically focuses on tech-based or knowledge-based economic development and business attraction. So we only look at bringing in companies who are using technology or knowledge-based tools, platforms, what have you, to bring solutions or products or services that can operate here and operate here and work throughout the globe, right? Because with a global economy and technology, you can do that. So that is the core purpose of the RT Park, is to generate economic development and diversity through technology businesses. And an offset of that, or in addition to that, we also support the university to help develop more technology-based skill sets and students or talent in the territory through the financial resources that our clients bring. And I just wanted to pull this up really quickly because you mentioned, Anthony, how Silicon Valley is losing a lot of tech companies. This magazine that I have right here is from Fast Company. I keep this on my desk, forward-facing for people who come into my office, because this has a Black man on the front of it. Also highlights some people that I know personally in this issue, but it talks about that exodus, and they particularly talk about the exodus from Silicon Valley into areas like Austin, Texas, and Atlanta, and understanding that there are a lot of minority-owned tech startups or more established businesses that are looking for places where their companies can make a difference, that they can feel impactful and be and really influence and inspire those who look like them to participate in this, really fast evolving industry. So I'm so glad that you mentioned it, because I have it on my desk here at all times as a reminder of the potential that the Virgin Islands has to really foster and nurture a tech hub like Silicon Valley, and people are looking for locations to do just that. So that's what we do at the RT Park, is to bring those companies here to build that tech hub.
Mike, you are one of the should I say startups, if that is that the correct description, at the RT Park. As you go through the process, would you say that the experience and working with, describe that journey, if you will, that relationship, by the time you made that initial connection and really partnering with, because that's what it is, right? The RT Park partner with the various different types of technology companies that they work with, whether it's a company that they're trying to invite to set up shop and domicile in the Virgin Islands, or just working, within the scope of local businesses. You are a local Virgin Islands business tech startup company. You want to talk a little bit about that in terms of your, working?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for asking. I talk about it every chance that I get when I travel. I was just in Austin, by the way, Sydney, not too long ago. I just came back a few weeks back, so I got to see firsthand what you just mentioned. Right, I met several startups that moved from Silicon Valley, moved from New York, and actually set up based in Austin. It's about 5 to 6 different companies. Amazing experience. Austin is amazing. I do think that we have a lot of unique things here locally. And I'm not just saying that because I'm born and raised here, but I do think that going through the experience of the RT Park, how the family of the RT Park, Sydney, Eric, Peter, how they all treated me was very kind, was very welcoming. They know what they're talking about. They know, and if they don't necessarily know firsthand, they have all the connections that they need to bring help to businesses. And I think that is the most valuable thing that I took from that experience, was that they're not selling themselves as we have all the answers. It's more about, well, we want to get you the answers at any cost. We want to make sure that you're taken care of. We want to see your business grow and thrive. Whether you're, coming from somewhere or you're growing the business locally, want to help you through the process. And that was really just what I got from the very beginning, right? Very early stage business, just had things on paper, right? So the team was able to take that, kind of turn more or less an idea into something that I can have conversations around investors. I can have an MVP on my product. I got connected to several developers, investors in the process. I think the good thing is we're nimble, we're small. We have lots of opportunities to move forward, to make a change. And that makes us flexible. I think that's the biggest thing from my experience, is the flexibility of knowing this is where we are, this is what our business or our ecosystem needs, and being able to do that. So I think there's room for growth, and I think that that's a positive thing. It's a very positive thing, because if you compare us to somewhere like Silicon Valley, it's the reason why we have those Xbox today, right? They kind of grew to a size that was so big that it was hard to control. It was hard to reduce costs. It was hard to, bring in new businesses from around the US, let alone around the world. While people wanted to be part of that ecosystem, it was hard because you don't really have a voice as a business. You can't necessarily speak to the family of RT Park, for example, in Silicon Valley, because it's just too massive. It's all about a standard or a procedure of how to approach things versus, okay, Michael, what is it that you need right now, and how can we work together to help you get there? And I think that is worth more than, a place that would claim to find you success or get you with what you see in the magazines or what you see in the ads, right? So I think that's what made it for me. That's generally my experience with them. If I missed something, Sydney, let me know.
Yeah, but before Sydney respond, because I was asking if she heard anything she heard from you, she would like to expand on. But as I'm looking, as we're having this conversation, and I'm listening, and I'm looking at, obviously, whether it was deliberate or not, Sydney has an important role at the RT Park, but you can't help to see the generation, right? Her generation, and saying, okay, I am female, gender, right? I'm a person of color, but I'm also a young person. And so how much of that, as you listen to Sydney, Michael, and what he said, be it he's local, but how much of that, as you go outside the territory to make the case, right, that the RT Park is a place where people should consider, how much of that goes into that whole dynamic, if you will, and the job that you do?
Oh, it's critically important. Critically important. The RT Park has gone through a lot of changes in the last 2.5 years. I've been at the RT Park for 2.5 years, and why I say that is because our executive director, Peter Chapman, came on board a few months before I came on board with the RT Park and really started a whole new team from scratch. And I'm emphasizing that because when we all came on board, we made a really concerted effort and intentional decision to steer the RT Park in a way where it was, one, more representative of, or could be more representative of the people that are here, right, Virgin Islanders. Two, be an example for minority people in technology. That this is a space that we belong in too, but also for the Caribbean as a whole, right? And I mention this a lot when I talk about the RT Park. What Michael was mentioning around how small we are and how much potential there is because we're so small and we're growing right now. We're not at the place where Silicon Valley is, where they're kind of reaching a bubble that might burst or has already burst. But we're just starting and we're really small. And outside of the fact that geographically, we're in a small space, the Caribbean has so many different challenges that haven't even been tapped into yet, to find the solutions for that technology can provide. So, that's really important to me. As a Caribbean person, looking the way that I look, looking the way that all of us look, because we experience the challenges every day that we face here in the region, we should be the ones providing the solutions or creating the innovative solutions for that. And that's really at the core of the messaging that I try to get out about the RT Park. To Michael's point about his experience, I'm glad that that's what he had, because that's what we try to get across in the Accelerate VI program. So what we're talking about here that Michael participated in is one of the programs underneath the RT Park organization. So Accelerate VI is an accelerator program like Y Combinator. There's a couple others that Eric mentions all the time that people go to for support in jumpstarting their startups, early stage technology companies. We wanted to provide that here for young entrepreneurs, Virgin Islanders who have ideas on how to use technology in a way that provides solutions to our challenges, like I mentioned. So that includes mentorship, a lot of guidance in getting things off the ground in terms of the business, helping them with fundraising, and really guiding them along the way. And I'm sure Michael can attest to this. The program is a really intense, short kind of boot camp, 3-month boot camp program in the beginning, but there's a longer relationship that we keep with the startups over time. So over our 5-year period, we're still checking in with Michael and the other founders in his cohort and the second cohort to make sure that they're on the right track if they need us. It's a very personal, intimate relationship because we're allowed to do that because we're so small, and that really shines through in the testimonial that Michael gave and where he is in his process right now. We have 14 startups that have already gone through the Accelerate VI program. We're currently going through a pre-accelerator program for founders who just have an idea on paper like Michael had, but just need a little bit more help to get to that accelerator application phase. And Eric will say this, I'm sure I'm speaking for him accurately when when we talk about the Accelerate VI program, it's really to build up entrepreneurship in the territory, right? So it's great to bring companies here, tech companies here who may be hiring 100, 200 people. We want that in terms of job growth, but we also want to see Virgin Islanders owning those tech companies, being the CEOs of those tech companies, the CFOs, the CTOs. And that can't happen if we don't show people like Michael and the other founders that, hey, there's somebody that looks like you who owns their own tech company that has launched an application that is impacting in an awesome way people's lives. When you talked about, Anthony, in terms of females, if you go to the Accelerate VI page, that's one of the core goals of the Accelerator, which is recruiting more female entrepreneurs. Right now, out of the 14 startups that have gone through the Accelerate VI program, we only have one female founder. And that's
wow. And you notice that opening video, it was a female, and the stereotypical, okay, a female, you need to be preparing coffee, answering the phone. You can't be a CEO of a tech startup. I don't know. I don't understand the dynamics where someone just automatically assume if you're female, if you're a person of color, all of a sudden they kind of discount you. I don't get that. I don't get that. But
well, if there's and sorry to interrupt, Tony, if there is a program in which females should join and be a part of and get the proper support, I think it would be the RT Park, and I'm seeing it as a client, right? Just based on my experience. And I do kind of want to go back to something that Sydney mentioned earlier, and I actually brought it up too about the size of the RT Park and it being small. I said that more in the lines of nimbleness, not necessarily that being small is necessarily a bad thing, right? They have years of experience. They come from different accelerators across the US. They know what they're doing. They know the people that also know what they're doing. They have a broad reach across the US. They have people like Anthony Weeks that are on their corner, and we all know Anthony Weeks is a superhero. So, I just want to kind of make that
I don't
clear.
I don't have I don't have an S on my chest, but I try to do my part.
No, but seriously, I do think that it's a good thing. I wish there was more Sydneys and more Erics and more Peters available. Like, I wish there was a second office here on the Isle of St. Thomas. But I do think that it's a benefit where we have a tight-knit team, and at least from my experience being there, I did see that everyone felt like a family. I never felt uncomfortable, never felt that it was an environment that doesn't breathe entrepreneurship. It was more about, how can we work together and get things done? So I did want to highlight that.
I had a great meeting with Sydney and the team over at RT Park, to include Peter Chapman, their leader at the main leader, because there's several leaders at the RT Park. But as the executive director, I think he's made a world of a difference in terms of just the leadership and his outlook, and how he manages how the RT Park is positioned in the community, how it's positioned in the marketplace, and how he can position the RT Park to be a facilitator of helping that type of businesses we're talking about, because it's a cultural thing. It's a cultural. I neglected to mention the part about and Sydney brought it up. I said everything else, but I didn't say on top of that, being from the Caribbean, that's a whole nother dynamic that should play. But for me, I think that through an ongoing dialogue and through the discourse of really just having that weekly conversation, I think the awareness factor can really change how the rest of the region, at least immediately. Obviously, we're talking about the Caribbean. I mean, this program, Tempo Networks, is viewed throughout the United States and throughout the entire Caribbean and Guyana and Suriname in South America. So you have a pretty diverse group of people watching this from all over. And so I just thought it was a unique platform. I think it can be an instrumental platform to be able to address those barriers, those hurdles, those things that are a hindrance for people of color to really enter into the space. And I think, Sydney, do you know how many other RT Park, not US, within the region, because I know there's other universities and colleges in the region. Do you know how many other jurisdictions have their own research and technology park?
I know of a few, and they're all not called research and technology parks, but they all kind of do the same thing. Puerto Rico has some really good programs. They are really big on trying to attract tech businesses as well. They have tax incentive programs like we do for traditional clients. So they're there. And then I know that I've seen more programs that are more like accelerators, as opposed to the larger tax incentive program where you're bringing in traditional clients. So Barbados is really doing a great job on attracting or creating a tech hub, right? Or creating an identity that they are innovative and they are welcoming to different types of technology and making their island embrace that. Jamaica as well. Jamaica, and even through UE, the University of the West Indies, which has a campus in Barbados and Jamaica. Jamaica also has some accelerator programs that I'm aware of. And a part of my job, which I absolutely love, is the opportunity that I've had to connect with other organizations and individuals within the region who are really trying to get us into a more innovative space as a region. I want to say the 21st century because we are here, but you know what I mean? Like, just kind of get the region in a space where we're really leveraging the potential that technology has for us. And a lot of it is starting from really early ages. So, teaching coding, a lot of workforce development that needs to happen before we can be in a space where, yes, technology companies can go to any island and have a workforce that's there to support them. That's the type of work I'm seeing now, but more so I'm seeing entrepreneurship building, particularly in tech in places like Barbados, Bahamas, Jamaica. I know Trinidad is doing some work as well.
Mm-hmm. All right, we need to take a break, and we'll come back. We'll continue our conversation with Sydney Paul. She is the Business Intelligence and Market Manager for the UVI Research and Technology Park. We'll be right back.
Right now, 91 million Americans are financially overlooked. 48% have a fear of finance. 2 in 3 lack the ability to manage their finances. We solve this issue by combining financial literacy and financial management into one seamless app. 1. Have your financial goals align with your values. 2. Track your money and forecast how big decisions will impact your virtual accounts. 3. Build financial literacy at your own pace. Our competitors are rigid, disconnected, and impersonal. They represent the old way of doing finance. That's not who we are. We personalize your finances for you because we know one size does not fit all. We're democratizing personal finance. Join the tribe at Core Finance and at corefinance.com.
The rate in which technology is developing, mutating, and adapting is so fast that you can't help but be swept away in a tidal wave of progress, whether you're ready for it or not. Technology has literally changed every aspect in the way businesses operate, and never before in history has that change occurred so quickly. Here are some ways technology is changing your business. Cloud computing allows any size business, large, medium, or small, to move some of their operation to third-party servers via internet connectivity. Not only does this allow for variable data packages, but also for quick, on-demand expansion and mobility, without the fear of downtime, crashes, or data loss. Mobility is the next big thing, so much so that Google has revamped its algorithm to make mobile-friendly websites higher up their ranking. Technology has also increased the ease in which we can all stay in touch, whether it's having your co-workers or your employees available via video chat at a moment's notice, or being able to send targeted emails to customers. The rise of mobile technology has blended almost perfectly with the communication software to create a hyper-real web of real-time information. The rise of technology does have its downsides. It seems like there isn't any downtime for individuals anymore. We always have access to our emails and texts or work via the laptop or tablet. And while your intention may be to get away for things for a while, it's more than likely that you will succumb to the temptation of checking in more than once. You can't afford to operate your business like it exists in a vacuum any longer. The rise of social networks has made the connected world smaller, and now your customer can connect with you anytime, anywhere. In the past, businesses may have been able to hide behind good PR campaigns, but now rating sites and social media have made that nearly impossible. You need to use technology to engage your customers, promoting good and putting things right when things don't go so well. More and more small businesses that fail to adapt are going to find themselves left behind, while the savvy ones who want to learn to keep up will reap the awards. You don't have to rebuild your business from the ground up. You just have to understand how technology affects your business and how to use this technology to your advantage. So there you have it. There's just a handful of ways that technology is fundamentally changing businesses all around the world. If you'd like to know more, head to our website, nsuk.com, or find us on Twitter, NetSavvy. I've been Connie.
If you're a small local business and you have not yet applied for your PPP forgiveness loan, you should know the deadline is fast approaching, and you need to apply now before May 31st, 2021. To apply now, go to www.applyppp.info. If you're a small All right, folks, we are back, and thank you so much for allowing us to take that break. We have a focused discussion this afternoon on the University of the Virgin Islands Research and Technology Park. We have with us special guest and contributor, Sydney Paul. She is the Business Intelligence and Market Manager. And Sydney, welcome back to the program. We're also joined by our colleague, of course, Terry Coxon. Terry also as a private sector person, but she comes from the public policy space as well. But she's no stranger to academia. She also teaches at, is it SUNY or CUNY? I always get up.
CUNY, Medgar Evers College.
There you go. Okay, fantastic. Yes. And so I don't know how much of the conversation you caught, Terry, before you came on, but we're having a really good, discussion on the unique perspective and dynamic of what it means to be in a space which is called technology, but obviously being a persons of color, being a jurisdiction that is predominantly persons of color, and also being part of the Caribbean. So there are all these different unique perspectives. And so we're talking about, we believe that there's a window there that we need to capitalize on. And we can do that on an ongoing fashion by having these regular conversation to be able to really educate and build awareness around it. So is there anything you want to add in terms of, because I know that you've traveled to Virgin Islands when you were the small SBA advocate for the Virgin Islands as well. Did you deal with did you have any relationship contact with RT Park or?
Yes, some, but not as much as I would have liked. I did because of the SBDC, the Small Business Development Center. And when we were doing things around bringing resources to the Virgin Island, then I had an opportunity to visit and an opportunity to have conversation about what are some of the things that we can do to make sure that we're getting the word out and more importantly, getting resource to the center. So I do have some familiarity with the center.
Fantastic. In Harlem, I think I forgot what Harlem is calling their tech space. You guys can help me. I'm having a senior moment here, but I know specifically Harlem is a city, or should I say, there with a neighborhood within a city or borough that is predominantly people of color, and they too are trying to aspire to become a major hub for folks, people of color in the technology space. Are you familiar, Sydney, Michael, Terry, with Harlem? I forgot what it's called, Harlem something. Are you guys familiar with their tech efforts? I
think I heard about Harlem Ventures. It's this investment group founded by African American. I think he's from Harlem as well, but I'm not 100% sure if that's what.
Yeah, I'm just curious to know how successful. How things going for them, because they're in the heart of New York considers themselves the second hub for technology in the country, right? And so, I mean, I'm sure Texans will debate that, particularly Houston, Texas will debate that. But I know New York, Terry, you're in New York. I know you guys are trying to really, be the next best thing to Silicon Valley. How's that going?
Can you hear me? It looks like, yeah. Okay. Yeah, so I think you're referring to the Harlem Tech Fund. So it's a nonprofit, it's unchartered power, and it serves as it's doing STEM, it's doing some things around STEM, it's ushering in the Harlem Renaissance, like utilizing all of the things that make Harlem Harlem. So that's one of the things that they're doing. They have a couple of other spaces. I know when I was with SBA, we actually had an opportunity to go out and visit some of their shared spaces, and one was a technology hub, and they were telling us the things that they're doing there. So they are doing those things, but it's so much more that's going in New York City, because I mean, you have to imagine New York City has Brooklyn alone has 2.6 million people and 69 square miles, and so with that on the water, we're doing more around technology and STEM as it relates to like the Dumbo area and the Williamsburg area and areas like that, and just opening up opportunities. And so how are we doing in that space? I think that we're continuing to expand, and I think there's a lot more room, especially now that people are working from home. We're addressing things like this digital divide and lower income communities and housing complexes, making sure that not only do the students have access to laptops, which was originally what we thought would be what they needed if they weren't in the school space, then we would give them a laptop and they could do work from home. But now what we're finding is there's some broadband access that needs to be addressed, and also utilities. So New York is unique in that it just passed legislation to make utilities, to do a utilities moratorium. So meaning that your utilities can get cut off. And one of the things that State Senator Kevin Parker said when putting this together, he said, just like you're not going to put a person in a house without water, lights, and gas, you can't now put them in a space without utilities, right? Without access to broadband, without access to the technology. You can't even make an appointment for a vaccine without having a computer. You have to like either scan it or go online and make your appointment. So there's room for more growth in that technology space, Anthony, to answer your question, but we're doing a lot around it, especially now that there's a digital divide that has been identified, not just in New York City. I'm sure you guys have been able to identify it where you are too, but because we're identifying it and we're seeing it, it's a lot of Black and brown people, especially our students, are being impacted, and small businesses, quite frankly, which is what this platform is about, right? So we're doing more to kind of give access, not just a computer, but giving access to utilities and access to broadband, access to individuals so that they can use that technology when they have it on hand.
Sydney, your ability as an institution to deliver the deliverables, your services, whether it's external, attracting people to come in, or just building from within. Where's infrastructure in terms of your ability to deliver and do your job? Where are some of the, because I mean Terry just talked about the infrastructure issue, right? So where's the Virgin Islands and the RT Park and its relationship to that?
So we have relationships with, in terms of infrastructure, we do have relationships with those who are relevant to the work that we do, right? So internet, we have a relationship with VINGN, which is the Virgin Islands Next Generation Network. They manage the internet infrastructure here to provide internet services to the ISPs. There's the two ISPs that we have here, or the two main ones that we have here, are RT Park clients. So we have relationships with those utilities in that respect. Another area that we're getting more into, which a lot of people don't know locally, is that not only are we working on tech-based economic development, but also sustainable development. So when you think about other utilities and infrastructure like energy, we are advocating for more sustainable practices in energy as well. And that involves having conversations with the Water and Power Authority and things like that. However, I think about infrastructure that's needed for the work that we do as our workforce, right? So introducing young people to technology as a tool for them to excel in life is really important. And we have programs that build around that. So we have youth coding programs, we have adult coding programs. We also have what's called the Virgin Islands STEM Talent Archive, which is a database and a job search platform that we're launching next month to connect Virgin Islands talent, not just here, but in the entire diaspora. So in the US, abroad, to opportunities to work back home, because we want to bring people back home to build that workforce. So that's how I think about our role in building that infrastructure, because when a company comes to us and they say, wow, this is a really great opportunity, we would love to come to the territory, but do you guys have people that actually know how to do the work that we do? And a lot of times we can't answer that question definitively, and that can be a barrier to diversifying the economy. So we have things in place to address all of those pieces that I talked about in terms of the infrastructure that we need, and it's been going really well. I think that we're doing the right advocating in the right places.
So for the viewing public that is watching this program throughout the Caribbean, and they're trying to decide, because I believe the number, I don't have it in front of me, but I believe there's about 11,000 to shy of 12,000 Caribbean students studying in the United States. And so what do you say to them in terms of, making that case? They're watching this program and they're thinking, okay, I would like to go to the States to study the U.S. mainland, but I'm now hearing about the Virgin Islands and what the RT Park is about. How do you draw, if the word I can use is a distinction, how do you separate yourself from all the other competing jurisdictions that are basically saying that they can do the same thing in the region, not in the U.S. mainland per se, but they want to come to the U.S. and why should the RT Park, University of the Virgin Islands? I understand they're two separate units, but in terms of considering coming to the Virgin Islands to study and then eventually get the skill sets they need and maybe do a startup.
Well, one of the key points that we tell traditional clients, so the larger tech companies that are coming here for tax incentives or to utilize our tax incentive program rather, is that we are a U.S. the strategic location that we have, right? So we're in the Caribbean, and our proximity to the U.S. makes it really attractive, where you don't have to necessarily deal with the competition of being in spaces and in the States if that's just too overwhelming or operations wise doesn't make sense. You can come here and still have the protections of the U.S. flag, of the things like that. So how I would translate that to students or those who are looking to study or work in the U.S. One, our relationship with the UVI with the university is a really important part of the work that we do. So any company that comes into our program, the traditional clients, they're required to offer resources to the university. So whether it's financial resources, whether it's partnerships to build curriculum, usually what we tell the clients is that we understand that you have needs to operate in the Virgin Islands, and a lot of those are around workforce development. So why don't we facilitate, like you said earlier, Anthony, we do a lot of facilitating. We facilitate the building the relationship between the clients and the university. So let's say there's a cybersecurity company and they want to be here. They will maybe offer financial resources to sponsor a new degree program in cybersecurity or create a lecture series with CEOs in cybersecurity to talk to students who are in the computer science program, things like that. So the RT Park does the work to build the university to a place that it is on par, if not, excelling in the space around innovation and technology studies, if that makes sense. We want to be able to help the university get in a position where it's leading in a space like that. The university is already doing great things in terms of innovation. They have entire programs and departments dedicated to innovation and creative thinking. So we just supplement that by providing those resources via the company. So students who come here should know that they have support. They can be in the United States, like study and have that experience, but still culturally feel at home without having to go to the States. I went to school in the States and it was a great experience, but I know that as a Caribbean person, there was a culture shock and there were challenges that I had to overcome to get acclimated to living in the States for the time that I was there. Other students from the Caribbean won't have that issue if they came here, which is excellent. And we want to be able to nurture talent and keep it in the Caribbean. We speak a lot about the Virgin Islands, as we should, but being in this role, I've realized how essential it is for the region to really work together as a whole to solve the challenges that we have. And I see a lot of those solutions through technology and just innovative thinking and collaboration together. So we want to keep that talent here in the region. And, I think that we're on the right track.
So I have a
Michael?
question for you. A couple questions, right? So one, you're talking about some kind of financial sponsorship of maybe a program. What about internships or even jobs after?
Yes.
Yeah.
I did not mention that. So there's also a part of the traditional clients, their program, where if they are also required to provide internships to students. And in lieu of that, if they are not able to find interested students, which shouldn't be that hard, they are asked to provide an additional financial support in lieu of an internship to the tuition, to the tuition fund to supply scholarships or something like that. And then also the Vista Plus program that I mentioned earlier, that's a job search platform. It runs the range of jobs that you will be able to find on that platform are huge. So it's anything from internships, apprenticeships, full-time, part-time jobs, contract jobs, freelancing opportunities. That site will really hold all of those opportunities. And we're actually going through a process right now on my marketing team to start campaigning to recruit students who are graduating, whether it be from undergrad, high school, or graduate school, to participate and register for Vista Plus so that they can see the opportunities that are there, one, but also so that the companies see, wow, there is a lot of talent here in the Virgin Islands. And, so that's where we are. We do provide those really hands-on experience opportunities as well, or at least want to facilitate those opportunities.
So awesome. I mean, because that's important, because I know, Anthony, we've spoken about it on this program before about the brain drain, right? But
yes.
If there are opportunities and jobs and internships, and even, if they're doing some kind of shadowing, then that gives the students, a reason to be vested and to stay in the Virgin Islands or either come back. So that's really important. So thanks for sharing. And I think Vista Plus is really phenomenal in that way if they're able to offer all of those things on that platform. I think that the students that are listening today, whether you're in the United States or in the Virgin Islands, you should definitely participate in that platform and see what's available, because that's the important thing. On this show, we're always, Sydney and Michael knows, we're always trying to give nuggets, we're always trying to give resources and give access to all of those that are listening so that they can be vested and come back and be a part of what's going on in the Virgin Islands. So thanks for sharing that information. Thank you, Anthony.
Yeah, and I'll just add really quickly, Anthony, just to piggyback off of that plug, I may as well do it now. The site is up right now. The site is up. You can go on and explore it. You just can't register yet because we're polishing up some backend stuff. But the website is www.vistaplus.vi. You can see demos of how the job search works, how the profiles look, and just so people know that it's real and that we are working on it. The RT Park clients and not RT Park clients are really itching to find talent, and we're getting them to input their job opportunities right now. So that is getting ready to launch sometime next month.
Wow. Michael, as folks are watching this program and they're seeing people that look like themselves on the other side. But I think most important, a lot of, if you will, Asians, as well as more so Asians, whether it's the Far East or just Middle East. A lot of foreigners come to the United States to study, and then at some point they decide they don't want to go back right away, or they may want to stay for whatever period of time. And so, we as a country, we attract a lot of foreigners who are looking to get into the tech space, knowledge-based space. As a startup and someone who's contemplating going into, either they've just graduated from college, they've studied, they went through the STEM program, but they're now thinking, okay, I want to start up a business. What can you say to them as a possibility of saying, you may want to think about the Virgin Islands as an option, as an entrepreneur in that space?
Well, a lot. And I think there's a lot. No, there's a lot. And Sydney mentioned a few things, and we spoke about a few things early in the show. But right now I'm actually having issues on which one to pick. But if you look at kind
Good
of
problem to have.
Sorry, what was that, Terry?
I said that's a good problem to have, trying to
It
figure out
is.
which one to pick, because that means you have options.
It is. No, seriously. No, it's, I just had this conversation with a friend of mine that came down to visit. They're from here. But, something that I told them is, it's an exciting time to be down here, local, to be in the BI in general, to be in the Caribbean. Haiti, Sydney mentioned Barbados, Jamaica, Dominican Republic is trying to do something. Puerto Rico has been, doing their thing for a while. And just being part of this ecosystem, being a pioneer, being one of the first ones, I think that would speak volumes. And if you and I'll say this really quick, if you look at the history of a lot of businesses, when you're first to the market, or at least if you're one of the first ones to pioneer something, regardless of what the industry is, somewhere, you tend to be successful and the business tends to last very long, right? So there's a lot of things in the Caribbean that we're not considering today, as Sydney mentioned. So how can we bring some of those systems or technologies or business ideas here? Right. Maybe I have a bias because I'm from the BI, but I have seen and learned about what other islands are doing, and I think what we're doing is a great thing. I think the key is that we're open to collaboration, and we're also very open into helping an individual versus just looking at the numbers, because we know firsthand every day what it is to be a Black person or someone who's a minority in some way, shape, or form. And we know that sometimes we just need just a little bit more, just because it's just, we have more things to worry about. So I think the team that we have, the team with Sydney, what other programs locally, other programs in the Caribbean are doing. You mentioned Asians. I think we're very open to working with people. One of my good friends actually here is an Asian, and he moved down and he's having a blast out here. He loves it. He doesn't want to go back. He's actually from New York, Terry, by the way. He came down from New York. And, the things that I've heard him say about his interactions with the local economy, with the ecosystem, I'm not saying that we have everything set. But I think that is the luxury, right? Because we can learn from the best practices and mistakes of Silicon Valley in places like Shanghai, or even Hong Kong, New York. We know what works. We know what doesn't work. We know that if we allow something to get too expensive, if we know that we allow a certain group of people to gain certain power, we know how things can shift. We know all of this. And I think the basis of the foundation of what we're laying down today is to make sure that we don't fall into those traps. So I think there's a lot of positive things. As an entrepreneur, I would say that it's definitely a good time to do that. And the last thing I'll say is, who doesn't want to be in the Caribbean, man? You got beaches and palm trees.
On that note, that's a good note to end. We're out of time. And of course, we're going to have plenty of opportunities to talk about all of this stuff.
Definitely.
Sydney, you just got a taste. You just got a taste of how we roll on this program. And so we really brainstorm and we take it to where we need to take it to, because we're serious about what we do. And so we believe that we can make a difference, and looking forward to the UVI RT Park ongoing contribution to this program. Absolutely. Folks, I want to thank Michael, Terry, and of course our special guest, Sydney Paul. Folks, until the next time, you have a safe and pleasant day. We will talk to you soon. This is the Marketplace and JumpStart Reset. We'll talk soon.
Have a good day, guys.
Bye.